רציתי לשאול אותך פעם, שסטודנט שלומד, שאל שאלה למה כתוב כאן, אני כבר לא זוכר, אתה באת הסבר, אמרת לי למה זה כתוב. אני יודע את הדברים האלה.
Today is the 4th of Cheshvan, the 5th of November, and we're at the end of chapter 25.
In England, it's Guy Fawkes Day.
So what, Guy Fawkes Day? Oh, remember the 5th of November. Yeah. So it came out this year on the 5th of November.
What?
Okay. It's the day you try to blow up Parliament.
Whose yard site? They usually have a yard site. In England.
Who, Guy Fawkes?
Usually you have a yard site convention.
Oh, who's the yard site today? I don't remember.
I'll look it up later, yeah.
It's fitting with America, the same
Yeah.
Guy Fawkes, many years ago.
16 something, no?
How many Jews did it?
There were no Jews in England at the time, so they couldn't blame them.
After they kicked us out.
דובי, תפתח שם ותפתח את המיזוג, אתה יכול? ככה
המזוג
נפתח.
לא ידעתי אם כן או לא.
Okay, so we said that it's specifically in the lower part of creation that God is concealed, and therefore we have this ability to be more of what we called without a purpose. Bilti bal tachlit. That Hashem is only able to reveal Himself as having no purpose, as it were, that the world has no purpose, only here in the three lower worlds. There's something that, we'll see if he says it. He doesn't really say it, but we need to say it. That the relationship between emanation, Atzilus, and Bia is like the relationship between a male and a female. Okay? Very important thing. We did? We talked about this? A long time ago. Okay, so maybe we'll see something here today that is related to it.
Would that be the same as Bria to Yitzhak also? Also the sort of relationship?
Relatively, but all Bria, Yitzhak, Asiyah, you even hear it in the names, they're feminine. Atzilut is masculine. So the Sfirot, even though it's very interesting, that even though you would think that the masculine is more it has more of a sense of self than the feminine, but as it turns out, it's exactly the opposite. That the masculine, its nature is to come down. Its nature is to want to affect the lower realms, and therefore it knows exactly where it's coming from. It knows what it's taking. The feminine, which wants to actually ascend, so it doesn't realize where it's going to. It doesn't have a conception of where it's going to. It's sort of like it's exactly because of that it reaches much higher. But it's sort of like saying that if I know beforehand where I came from, so that seems to me to be the upper limit. So I'll give an example from real life. Abraham has to rebel against Terach, against his father, in order to reach a new place. Meaning he has to rebel against his origin. Hashem says to him, Lech lecha me'artzecha moladcha mibeit avicha. You have to leave everything behind, as if you don't know it. Why? La'aretz asher re'eka, because I want you to become feminine. Ela aretz is to become feminine.
Oh wow, I never thought of that. Wow.
And that way you'll be able to reach a completely different level that your father couldn't take you to. It's a very common thing that you have to rebel against your father in order to reach a new height, to reach a new place. Who's an example of this? There's even more than that. There's like you have to not know who your father is. Steve Jobs, for instance, right? So he didn't reach a new height.
Was like, okay.
He reached a deeper place in
Maybe,
reality,
but
but he
not
can't
the-
reach a new height. the moment you have know your father, you're sort of locked into something.
Bind.
Yeah, you're bound.
But you said we're always nullified to that.
Right. So that's why you have to. At some point, you have to change your father. You have to
But
exchange your
that-
father
but
for
that-
your father in
it
heaven.
seemed before that's an impossible task. In other words, the way it was, that's
said
the way
that-
I took your teaching. It can't be.
No,
לא יודע איפה זה כתוב,
you have to completely get over your father. You have to.
כתוב על זה מה עם כיבודיו, שזה אמרו לו שהוא מת. איפה זה היה? רש"י אומר, דודו לו
With Terach, yeah, he was told that he died.
אז לא היה שייכות.
Right. It says there's a Yonatan Eibschitz who says, he asks why doesn't the 7 universal commandments include honoring your father and mother? So he says the simple answer is because if we told everybody in the world to honor their father and mother, we'd never get rid of idolatry.
Yeah, you were right.
The only way to get rid of idolatry is that you have to at some point rebel against them. So there's rebelling in the sense of like Oedipus, which is I'll kill him. That's definitely not okay. But you have to break free of it. You have to break free of your father's image. And so really what we do on our way to Shema, and Shema especially what we saw, is that you have to conceive that you have no conception of Hashem. Every time you have to break the idols, just like Abraham did. So my conception of Hashem yesterday is like an idol today. If I don't break it, if I don't shatter it, I can't break new ground. I can't. So that's idolatry in the spiritual sense. That everybody suffers from it. The Torah doesn't say don't be idolatrous, and the person says, I've never seen an idol in my life. What's that got to do with me? Of course it's got to do with you, says the Baal Shem Tov. It's got to do with you at a spiritual level. You have to break your previous idols. But the idols, you have to understand, they're the image of your father. That's the way you conceive it, as an image of your father in some way. In any case, so this is it's an important thing in itself. I don't remember where he says it. He probably says it somewhere near. יותר מכל זה נראה ונגלה כוח האינסוף. Sorry, I think we have to go after הבלתי בעל תכלית. כי באמת, איך שיהיה מעלת הנאצלים הם כלא חשיבה לגבי אינסוף ברוך הוא, ובהשתלשלותן זה מזה, מעילה לעילה, אין נראה ונגלה כל כך כוח אינסוף ברוך הוא. He says, we say this a lot of times, that everything looks like nothing before Hashem. What does that mean? Would it mean he doesn't care for it? He doesn't think about it? Now he says that in a place where you can't step, you don't look at it as a space. That's what it really means. It says Hashem's infinite ability, infinite revelation cannot dwell, cannot appear, cannot reveal itself in the world of emanation, because they're too nullified to him. So for him, from the point of view of the infinite revelation, for him, the Netzalim, everything in the world of emanation is like it doesn't exist. He skips over it. It's like you can't step here. There's nothing to do here. You can't reveal the infinite through them, because what do we say? Their point is to turn the infinite into the finite. So they can't reveal infinity. So how do you fix that? That below emanation, below Atzilus, the 3 lower worlds, they do have a revelation of something being from nothing. שאף על פי שהנבראים מצד מהותם יותר כלא חשיבי. מכל מקום, כוח ויכולת זו שבבריאה מאין ליש, היא גילוי כוח ויכולת אין סוף ברוך הוא. So even though they themselves, the creations in the 3 lower worlds, they have less significance, overall significance. But when it comes to revealing the power of the infinite, they can reveal it. So when a person turns, that's why it says that in a place that Bali Tshuva can stand, a perfect tzaddik can't stand. What do we mean? It's the same idea. That the infinite can stand in a Baal Tshuva, but it can't stand in a perfect tzaddik. the infinite can be revealed through a Baal Tshuva. I just came from the mikveh, so what I was thinking, I wanted to say to someone, but I held my tongue. I didn't know if you would take it the right way. And so, what is the what is the uniform of a Baal Tshuva in the mikveh? They have a special uniform. Nobody else has it. They have payas, and they have a tattoo.
Gold number 0.
What?
Gold number 0.
Most of them are both. But some of them don't have payas, but they all have that tattoo, or they have the remnants of a tattoo. Then you know he's about tshuva. If he doesn't have that, he's not about tshuva. He's like okay, he's a nice guy, change his lifestyle. But a real Baal Tshuva is someone who has a tattoo. So it says, these people Hashem can stand on. This type of person is something you can stand on. What do you mean stand on? So the infinite can stand here. But on a tzaddik, the infinite can't stand. There's no place for him to reveal himself. So we said until now, we mentioned this two times ago, or 3 times ago, that until now he hasn't even been talking about the physical world. He's only been talking about levels of consciousness. And now he says, let's talk about the physicality, material reality. Because everything we said about the 3 spiritual worlds or levels of consciousness, that's nothing compared to physical material reality. It's a very important statement. It's repeated many times in Chassidus, that no matter how many times you contract, you take the essence out of something spiritual, you will never arrive at something physical. Spirituality doesn't become physicality. There are 2 different creations. I mentioned this many times. It's in the Rambam. The Rambam's very surprised in chapter 25 of the second book of Moreh Nevuchim, the second part of Moreh Nevuchim. He has a whole chapter he dedicates to a medrash that's in Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer. And there it says that Shemayim v'Aretz are 2 different creations. Completely 2 different creations. Heavens are something spiritual, and the earth is something physical. And they're 2 different primordial matters, as it were. The primordial, like the Hayel that we saw. Not like 4 elements. Since the 4 elements have a 1 Hayel.
Yeah, you were talking before.
And or Hile. And the spiritual has a different Hile. Has a different... I'm guessing that the word halo comes from it, from Hilaire, and holy comes from it. A lot of words probably come from it. Probably, I don't know. But in any case, so he has a hard time with this. He says, why in the end do you want there to be 2? He says, there has to be 2. Because the one can never become the other. The heavens can never become the earth. It can't happen. Even many, you dilute as many times as you want, or take the essence of it again and again and again, you'll never come to something physical. Because they are completely incommensurate. The most you can get is what we call the spirit of the animal. The spirit of the animal, the spirit of the ox that we see in the chariot, that you can get from the spiritual. And that'll be the spirit that will enter into the animal, into the physical ox, and give him life. But the body of the ox, or any kind of physical matter like earth, in order to get something physical, there has to be a complete revelation. The only possible way is that the infinite power of Hashem be revealed. That's called Kol Yachol, that He is all powerful, or what we call omnipotent. Hashem's omnipotence has to appear. Now, the Kol Yachol is not such a high power, by the way. We have many things that are higher, but still, this is the ability to bring something out of nothing, but that something, that being, is a physical being, not just a spiritual being. In a certain sense, someone would say, it's just as much a trick to bring spirituality out of God. Why don't you say the same thing about that? And that may be what the Rambam, with Maimonides, is surprised at. Like, just bring out one, that you don't need to show 2 in order to show that you're all powerful, that you're omnipotent. Why do you need to bring out 2 things? Just bring out 1. So even bringing out just the spiritual is enough of a trick. to show your omnipotence. Why do you need to have two separate? So the problem isn't with Hashem. Hashem can show that He's all powerful, that He's omnipotent, with just bringing out spirituality. But spirituality cannot become physicality, and that's by design. So He had to bring out two different things that are. But now we go back to the initial question, which is, but if bringing out the spiritual is just as much a trick as bringing out the physical, so why doesn't the spiritual also reveal God's omnipotence? It should also. What's the difference? So now we have, the answer is because the spiritual really comes from the world of emanation, and the world of emanation is not completely nullified, like we say, meaning its nullification is so complete that you don't see God's omnipotence there. It's just you don't see it. It's not that really it's not there. It is. To bring out the spiritual, you also have to have omnipotence, but you can't see it there, because there everything is so nullified that it looks like it's an extension of godliness. And so when people ask you, what is God more like? Is it more spiritual, more physical? So everybody will say He's more spiritual than He is physical. But He's neither. The real answer, He's neither. He's neither this nor that. And He's this and that. He's a paradox. But He's just as far from the spiritual as He is from the physical. There's no real difference. But in our mind, for some reason, we associate the spiritual more with Him because of this sense of nullification that they have.
And the unknown. I mean, it's
and it's different than us.
It's different.
Right. It's foreign to us. Okay, so I'll end here. We didn't get to what I wanted to get, but so no. I guess there's tomorrow.
Good.